Hello, ladies. Welcome to Streakers Island Podcast, After Dark. It is I, Jacob Worthy, self-proclaimed sports analyst.
That was the best opening of life.
I am joined by Lane Dashing Dashco, Chazzy, the CEO, and the man with the fedora that just don't play, Dan More for your money.
Woo!
Well, boys, what do we feel about those games? I mean, Dan's got to be beyond frustrated with his Capitals. Like, let's just keep it up. Let's just keep it a buck.
I was right. Ovi got a goal.
Thank you, Dan, for saying hi to people in the chat when you also have a microphone.
Multitasking, bro.
Okay, but that's Ovechkin's first point of the whole series, and I still thought that game, besides the 5-on-3, he looked relatively quiet. Lane also jumping in the chat with a hi.
Gotta get those comments up.
But what do you think's going on with Ovi? Like, I thought this was another relatively quiet game for him.
I don't think he had enough vodka tonight.
No. I think it's the age, to be honest. Like I said earlier when we talked about the pregame, I just think when you're 30, like you're in your late 30s now, and playoffs is just a different animal, right? Like,
Playoffs.
it just seems to be different, and you see this with some of these older players, and they like the intensity, the hits are getting bigger, the games are getting harder. Of course, you're more tired as well because now you've played just a regular season where you were going for that goal record, and now you're playing more games than you normally would have played.
Right.
And it just starts to wear the wear and tear starts to wear on you, and you're seeing it with Ovechkin where you just can't. It feels like he needs to go for a little. He wants to go for a nap,
Yeah, Ovechkin straight up in this game, he just looked off the whole night. And to Lane's point, I think it is very strong possibility that the man just is out of gas.
I think the whole team's out of gas.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, I thought there's a glimmer of hope why I took the Caps today, but yeah, I think they've run out of steam here.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought Logan Thompson looked okay again. Like, I felt he did the job at giving his team a chance to win. But Carolina outshot them again, almost 2-1, and that series is done.
I'm really disappointed. I'm not just on the Ovi.
Disappointed at night.
I'm not just an Ovi bandwagon. I've been a Caps fan forever.
Dan and Ovi are lovers.
I mean, a lot more William Nylander. I think my sweetest bonds most of my Weston's great, but if Weston's a sloppy second, I'll definitely take it. But I think the whole team looked deflated before the game even started. And that's why I'm so disappointed as a Caps fan. It's like I think that comes down to coaching, and I've been saying that since this series, before the series even began. It's like Washington's got the power and forwards. I thought they had the power in net, but Anderson's been playing out of his mind, so good on him. And I think Carolina's got the advantage in defense and coaching, and we're really seeing that as the series goes deeper. In fact, coaching is a big advantage for Carolina.
Yeah, coaching has been a huge difference maker in this series, straight up. Like, I think Brendan Moore is really, really. I don't remember the coach's name in Washington. He's been nominated for the Jack Adams, so you'd think
Spencer Carberry.
Thank you.
That's it, yeah.
So you wouldn't think. I think Dan keeps milkshakes up his butt.
Well, see, people didn't know right before we went on live last time. I had a glass of chocolate milk and I spilled it on my pants. Luckily, it was cold chocolate milk and not hot chocolate. So this time, at nighttime, a little dipsy, I might put a lid on this one.
But man, I don't know. I think Carolina finished this off in 5. The gentleman's sweep.
Oh boy!
Do you think this is disappointing, guys? Like I know we talk about the Leafs kind of being disappointing, but you were like one of the best teams in the league.
Right. Yeah.
They were one of the strongest teams coming in. They had preferably the best schedule other than the Leafs. Like, they had the best roadmap to get to where they wanted to go. They had a lot of good players, and it's just like here they are in the second round, kind of getting humiliated, and in lack for a better term, compared to their standards, this is kind of a humiliating finish to what was a really great season and a record-breaking season, even in some sense of form.
100%. And it's like, well, every game I've been seeing this playoffs has a controversial play. Now, this was not a controversial play, but it's a very strange play. I think it was the third Carolina goal. Like I said, Washington's defense is a little weak. Sandin got his stick stuck in the boards. And instead of continuing playing without a stick, which I think he should have done, he fought and tried to get his stick out of the boards. And then it was a 2-on-1, and Thompson could not stop it. And the first thing Sandin did was apologize to Thompson. And that kind of blew up the whole game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I got to agree with you more for. I think that was a big. But like you say, it blew up the game. Washington, what blew up their game was they forgot they needed to play.
No, because they got the 5-on-2, and Ovi got the power
5-on-2.
goal. Well, 5-on-3, sorry. Ovi got the goal with 17 seconds into the 5-on-3. It got a lot of momentum on the road, okay? Wilson was hitting. Wilson was chirping. He was doing his job. You could tell the team was just about to get back into it, and Sandin did that. I'm like, well, that's why the Leafs traded him. Like, come on, bro.
Okay, first of all, you cannot blame one of your lower level defenders. Because
Third defender, Jacob. Third.
He's signed long term there, is he not? He's there.
They're not.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, but Washington isn't built to win by defending. They're built to score goals. You're outshot.
Yeah, but they need some type of defense.
You're outshot 37-21. Okay, fine. Your power play finally gets a goal. 1 for 5 on the power play.
It's not
And
great.
you're going on. Oh, Washington was so physical. They only got 2 more
That's
hits than
20%.
Carolina.
A lot of teams would be happy with 20%.
I'm
power
not
play.
happy in a game that you absolutely have to win. And the only goal you scored was on a 5-on-3. And it's basically because you won the faceoff. If you didn't win the faceoff, you're not scoring that goal. Like,
Right.
straight up, Washington does not deserve to be in this series. Carolina, I don't know if they just gave Washington some melatonin, and that's why they just came to sleep every night. But Washington has played bad. You're going on and on about Tom Wilson. Sure, he's going, bleh, bleh, bleh. How about instead you go, pshum, and put the puck in the net? That's your job. That is, yeah, against Montreal, it rattled Montreal. It's not going to rattle Carolina. Carolina, they're like, we don't really care that you're a bumbling idiot. We care about going to the conference finals to get beat by either Toronto or Florida.
We're a bunch of jerks anyways. We're not impressed by a bumbling idiot.
Carolina, and you look at Carolina again tonight, okay? They had 5 goals. All 5 goals are from a different player.
Like Taylor Hall had a good game.
With a Gostisbehere with his third of the playoffs. Seth Jarvis with another one. Taylor Hall with a big breakaway goal that really opened the game up.
Yeah.
And then Sean Walker, someone you're not expecting to get a goal, gets a really big goal on an odd man rush that Carolina plays to perfection. And then Shnetsnikov with the empty netter. You look aside.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's all depth guys here for Carolina.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Does that mean all 4 lines got a goal?
No, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
They were all involved tonight. When you look at Washington, Jacob Chikrin with his third of the playoffs, Ovechkin only with his 5th. Like, you got Shestnikov with 7 goals these playoffs versus Ovechkin with only 5. That was his first point in this series as well. Like, man.
I'm just going to say something just out of curiosity, and Chazzy could help me answer this question.
Chazzy.
What if, hypothetically speaking, Montreal beat Washington? Does Montreal have a chance of beating Carolina?
Absolutely.
And I think so, too.
Yeah.
I think Carolina's...
No, go ahead.
I know Carolina's out-coached, as amazing coach, and that's great. They have a very even team, which is great. But I think Washington and Carolina, out of the teams that are left, are definitely the weakest teams left in the playoffs. And I think if Wilson didn't rattle up Montreal so bad, I think Montreal could have beat Washington. I think Montreal could have beat Carolina. I really do.
I don't.
Wasn't
Personally,
Carolina one of the early favorites to win? Going into
But still the favorite now, according to one
Yeah.
of the gambling apps that we will not talk about. But I don't see it. I know Swayman is a great defenseman and Brett Burns is an amazing defenseman, but I don't see this team going on 20 plus games and beating Edmonton, Toronto, Florida, Dallas, Winnipeg. There's no way.
Okay, so here's the question for you. How do you find that they compare against your Toronto Maple Leafs?
Terrible.
What do you mean terrible? I think
Not
they compare
terrible
really
at
well.
all. It'll be a close series if that's.
Toronto's got 6 heavyweight defensemen.
I don't care.
Carolina has 2.
Don't care.
Toronto has
Probably better
the
than all
cold
of them.
4. Carolina's got the mediocre everybody's.
Disagree with you wholeheartedly, good sir.
I disagree too, to be honest.
I think Carolina is one of the deeper teams in the playoffs. I think they have depth, which a lot of teams don't. We look at their lineup and you don't really see a big weakness. And they're better. And I think I would argue Brenda Moore could outcoach Berube in a best of 7 series. I think Carolina, I'm not saying Carolina would, yes. Now, mind you, if Toronto loses to Carolina, that'll be considered a bit of a failure because, they'd have home ice. Like, Toronto has the advantage of Washington going out. They could have home ice right up to the Stanley Cup Finals. Potentially, even in the Stanley Cup Finals. But to get to the finals, they still got to get through Florida, which, that game, they have the couple of days rest. I still don't think you're going to see Anthony Stolarz in the net, and I don't think Joseph Woe was the problem at all in the last game. But you still got to get through. Let's be honest. Carolina's going to be one of the teams in the finals for the East.
Yep.
And I think the West, after tonight, Edmonton is definitely.
We're looking at the Stanley Cup champion tonight. After tonight's game, the Oilers are on a mission.
I do agree with you. The Oilers are on a mission. I said Stuart Skinner was going to have a big game. He had his best game of the playoffs.
I
still don't know about Stuart Skinner doing this long term. But, if he starts to fall...
You need him for 2 more series. Do it for 2 more series.
Well, also, he wasn't really heavy tested, right?
Finish this in 2 more.
Well, when you say he wasn't heavy tested, I don't completely agree with you, Lane. I felt there was times in that game he had to come up big. I'm not saying he had to put up a Vezina-level quality of net minding, but he needed to make some big saves in key moments, and he did.
I'm just going to say this right before we were talking about
that's just rude. Okay, so what do you not so you're saying you think Edmonton, you disagree? You're saying there's 4 of us here. Are you saying you disagree with Chazzy saying that we're looking at the potential Stanley Cup champions here? Or are you saying I disagree with me saying I don't know about Edmonton because of the Stuart Skinner situation?
Yeah, I don't know.
Dan's going to want some pizza now, though.
I looked at it like, Stuart Skinner, like Vegas only had like 6 or 7 shots into the second period. Like, I think Edmonton, due to their credit, they actually played a really good defensive game. Like, everyone kind of did their job, and I feel like the blender lines actually did really well tonight. Everyone did their part. Corey Perry was a huge part of that game. Evander Kane was a huge player there on that third line there, really kind of chipping it up and getting really aggressive there. I think that Edmonton played an all-around really good game, and they played to Stuart Skinner's strength, which is not letting shots get onto the net.
So it looks like we have someone agreeing with Dan about Carolina not really competing well against Toronto.
Yeah, I really don't see it. I think Clay Berube is the best coach left in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think he is that good. He got St. Louis, the 8th seed team, to win the Stanley Cup. And now he's getting who in their right mind would ever think you could turn Austin Matthews to a 2-way centerman? He did that. Okay? Who in their right mind would think he would turn... What?
Is he a 2-way centerman if only 2 goals?
Yes, because he's got 8 assists. And who in their right mind would think you would turn Prince William Nylander to one of the best players in the playoffs, better than McDavid, better than Draisaitl? Who would turn Morgan Rielly to one of the best scoring defensemen in the playoffs? And who would get the best goalie performance out of a $2.5 million goalie and a $3 million goalie? And Pat Zuetti, 37 years old, leads the team in hits. Berube is the best coach in the playoffs. I really believe that. I think Rob Brendamore is a close second, But yeah, I think Toronto schools Carolina. I really do.
Carolina, though, it's got the depth. It would be a big test for Frederick Anderson because he's going to have to face probably more than 20-25 shots a game.
And with
Anderson right now has
team,
only got a 1.14 goals against average. Nylander's currently tied for third in points. Funny enough, tied at Draisaitl, 1 behind McDavid, 3 behind Rantanen. McDavid and Draisaitl have been very weird. Statistically, they're putting up great numbers, but like you're not really. And Morgan Riley's tied for 4th currently in points out of all defensemen in the NHL.
Wow.
In the playoffs, which I'm not surprised about that at all, to be completely honest with you. Lane Hudson still leading rookies in points. So there you go, Chazzy. There's a nice note for you. But no, I honestly think Toronto, for the Maple Leafs, I am not confident of them beating any team until they beat them. And I'm sorry. I don't think we should be thinking too much about them playing Carolina when we're tied at 2 going back to Toronto. Let's
when you poke the bear. I'm telling you that mayhem at the end.
I think no. Gus, if anything, I want Kachuk to be like that because he's going to take stupid penalties.
That's what I'm thinking.
Do what he does.
Yeah, you're waking up.
Well, he told Willie to keep his head up.
And did you notice Nylander and Willie was literally just laughing at him? He had he's like, whatever, dude. Go home.
That's true. Willie doesn't back check, so he's not using that much ice. So
Willie's too busy at the blue line waiting for the breakaway.
We have a very long comment.
Oh, this is great.
Longest one we've ever put on the screen. So congratulations. Whoever wins the Florida versus Toronto series will reach the finals hands down. Florida's playing elite hockey. Just remember, Florida goalkeeping on 1.97 goals against average before the playoffs. Leafs put 15 goals past him in the first 4 games. Take that in. Leafs will put plenty against Carolina. I'm not disagreeing. Enough. We said going into the playoffs, whoever comes out of the Atlantic will go to the Cup Finals.
Yes.
I just think Carolina is playing at a much better level than I was expecting. So I think you got to give Carolina respect. But we did say this in the beginning, and you are right about the way they've been scoring against Bobrovsky. Now, Bobrovsky did shut them out the last game. However, Toronto didn't get a whole lot of rubber on them. If I'm Toronto, I think you just flush game 4. You move on to game 5 and more think about what you did in game 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I don't know why Toronto played game 4 the way they did, because in game 1, 2, and 3, they were taking all kinds of shots from the point. And whenever they were going in or getting tipped, they were getting through. Like, you look at Chris Tanev's goal, okay? That shot was pathetic, but it got in. You look at Morgan Riley, all the goals that he got. And you look at OEL, the couple of assists he got. In game 3, they just stopped game 4, I should say. They just stopped doing that for whatever reason. I don't know. But how to get back to doing that in game 5, getting the demon involved.
And man, I gotta agree with you there about Matthew.
100%.
Morfor and I were talking about this when he sort of woke up for the 3rd period of the Oilers game.
I had napped here in second intermission.
We were saying that Matthew Knight has really proven to be the missing piece, and it took them a long time to replace Zach Hyman. But they've replaced Zach Hyman.
Yeah, Bunting didn't quite work out, like the same caliber. And I think Knight is even better than Zach Hyman. I really do. I think because Knives kills penalty and Knives is bigger. I mean, holy cow. The other day he did a questions in the suit. His muscles was ripping out of his suit. Like, he's a full package. Well, didn't mean that way. But he's a really, he has the full package. You know,
wait till he starts using that size on the ice a lot more.
I know. And his speed, the way he gets in a breakaways like Willie, it's like, holy cow. Like,
so we feel like we know who's coming out of the East. We feel like I do agree. I do think whoever wins the Atlantic is the heavy favorite to make it to the East, to make it out of the East. Out of the West.
Great insight by Francesco.
Yes, awesome. Yeah. Thank you very much for your comments. And remember, guys, you can always comment. We put these comments right on the screen. It's a lot of fun. But when we look at the West now, I don't see Vegas coming back from 3-1 unless Stuart Skinner completely implodes. And I actually don't see him doing that. I think Skinner is playing. I honestly didn't think he played that bad in game 3. I'm not saying it was a great game, but he battled. And this game tonight, he looked confident.
He did.
With being confident. So I'm looking at that in Edmonton, and man, I do agree. You can't really complain about Nyes here. Fast, strong, and a top scorer. Nyes is the man. And yet, Matty Nyes. Okay, this might work for you guys because I'm the young. I believe I'm one of the younger ones on the screen here. Lane might be younger than me actually, but that's okay. Do you guys remember Gary Roberts?
Yeah.
I find Matthew Nyes is like Gary Roberts, but he can skate.
I agree, well, honey. That's what I said the other day. That's who he reminds me of the most is Gary Roberts. And the scary thing of going forward is you look at Bobby McMahon in the offseason. He didn't take the gamble. The Leafs locked him up for $1.3 million for 2 years, and that's one of the best contracts. I know he's not doing much now, but it's a very good contract. 20 goal scorer, $1.3 million. Nyes took the gamble and says, no, I'm not signing a contract until after the year. Okay, so they got him for the playoffs, but you have to re-sign him. And I thought Jacob was on crack, but Jalen was totally right. Nyes, even if they get eliminated against Florida, which hopefully that doesn't. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying hypothetically. Hopefully it doesn't. Hypothetically, Nyes is still worth at least $7 million. There's no way
more.
He is
More.
worth less money than Zach Hyman.
He's going to get more
So
than that.
if
now.
he's going to get $7 million,
More.
Marner's going to get $12 million at least. You either have to get rid of Tavares, or you gotta. There's no room for free agents whatsoever. So,
Oh, look at this.
Wow, I
They
like
give
it.
witness history. Edmonton final. Edmonton
Like
Toronto
it.
final.
Imagine.
wow.
Yeah, I will. You know what? It's not.
All
It's
Canadians
not
showed up.
unrealistic because I do feel Edmonton out of the teams left in the West. I'll be honest. I think Edmonton can beat Dallas or Winnipeg.
I think Gary Bettman would be having a seizure if there's two Canadian teams in the finals. He's going to be like, two Canadian teams over the Americans. We can't play the American national anthem. Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God.
But you know what? I could legitimately see Edmonton being the one out of the West right now. The way and what they're doing, which amazes me, and I know statistically McDavid and Draisaitl are playing well, and I'm not saying they're playing bad, but they are not dominating the way they did the last playoff.
Here's the
run,
$1
where
million question.
Dan, let me finish
I'm
with
sorry.
the podcast logo over your face.
Sorry.
But when I look at this for Edmonton, they've been doing this with McDavid and Draisaitl playing very well. But you look at tonight, they get goals from Henrique and Kane, right? Like they're getting goal scoring from the lower, like you have Henrique of 2 goals and Kane with a goal, right? And like you gotta think about it, Kane's got 4 goals this playoff. Evander Kane has more goals than Austin Matthews. I want you to think about that right now.
Double.
Right. And that is something, and Connor Brown as well. I mean, man, he has just been a dog on a bone. And what's impressive for Edmonton, they're doing this with the bottom 6 really carrying the way. You look tonight, there's no point from McDavid, or McDavid has 1 assist tonight. Draisaitl was nothing. And you found a way to beat Vegas 3-0. Can you imagine if Edmonton can just get McDavid and Draisaitl a little bit of ice? Because realistically, you're going to have to start worrying about the secondary guys when they're making it happen. You got Connor Brown having an elite playoffs. You got, Adam Henrique put in 2 goals tonight. Evander Kane is playing at a really high level. I thought Evan Bouchard had a phenomenal game tonight. Like, I think Edmonton, truthfully, I think they're better now than they were when they went to the Cup Finals last year. They seem to be a deeper team. And I thought, Dan, you mentioned Kasperi Kapanen in our pregame show.
Yeah,
I did.
And I thought Kapanen was electric tonight.
Yeah, I just had a gut feeling. I remember him as a Maple Leaf. He's one of those players I really regret giving up. So I know he hasn't really career. What?
Never gonna give you up.
Oh, yeah. I know his career kind of fell down the toilet when he left Toronto, but I feel that he would have stayed around the same level if Toronto kept him. And I look at his speed, I look at his forecheck. He actually has very good hands, too, that people are underrated, and he had a good game. I called it. Well,
And there's an interesting point about the Gary Bettman effect, saying Bettman would love it. Take this in. Matthews versus McDavid. You know how much revenue that will bring U.S. versus Canada, 2 of the best players from 2 different countries. Hyman facing Toronto, Toronto taking their vengeance over the walk he took from Toronto. And you know what, man? I never thought about this angle.
Wow.
This is like a 4 Nations rematch all over again, where Connor McDavid was able to get it done, scoring the game-winning goal, where Austin Matthews gets absolutely robbed by Jordan Binghamton, not getting that game-winning goal.
Does have Marner pass it to him, though?
Now he's got Marner to pass to him.
No, McDavid doesn't.
Now Matthews does.
Do you think American would like I just like say hypothetically that does happen? Do you think Americans would actually? Do you think the viewership would be good down there? Because I feel like
Well, that's my question.
I think it would be because I feel McDavid has fans across the league, and
True.
Toronto is a team that whether people like them or lump them, people watch them. Even if they watch just to complain about how much they hate them, they watch them.
Chazzy's
Right?
one of those guys.
Oh, Chazzy's just being called out today. The poor guy, he sits there.
deep passion that yeah.
Chazzy
We'll
sits
bury
there
that.
so nice and calm. You know what? And like I said, he went for a long walk today. You can see that he's nicely tanned. But yeah, you know what? The more I'm thinking, I will say, I think the league benefits a lot more from a Toronto Edmonton final than a Toronto Winnipeg final if you're going to have an all Canadian final.
But here's my $1 million question.
I don't have $1 million.
Do we all really
I better
think?
mute you. I don't have $1 million. Okay, go ahead, Dan.
Okay, $500,000 question.
I don't have 500,000 either.
So that's gone.
I kid. What's up?
Whoa. Okay. Do we really think that Edmonton is better than Winnipeg or Dallas?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
100%.
Absolutely.
Dallas is running
is,
off one player. You shut down Rantanen, you shut down Dallas.
Yeah, I guess so, eh?
I don't know about Dallas.
Not, I guess. I know. Edmonton has beat Dallas in the past. They know how to beat Jake Ottinger. And Ottinger's going to be exhausted by the time he hits, if they get to the finals. And I'm going to say this too. If Edmonton plays Winnipeg, I love Winnipeg. The Cinderella story has been great. Fraud, there's no way he's going to be able to handle the pressure in Edmonton. You saw the way Aiden Hill was being rattled tonight, the way Edmonton was running into him. And straight up, if the officiating continues to let Edmonton drive the net the way they are, Edmonton's going to be in great shape for that. And this is another great point. I did not know this actually. 27% of the NHL revenue comes from Toronto.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But here's my only question I have for Francesco.
Wow.
I'm just saying, like, let's just say, for example,
Great
it's
point.
Toronto. If it's Toronto and Dallas, you could still make money out of that. Oh, there's the guy that Marner did decline the trade for. Here's Mikko Rantanen, who was supposed to come into Toronto. Like, I feel like no matter who Toronto faces, there's always going to be a narrative, always going to be something you can throw on a dartboard and make revenue. Because no matter who Toronto faces, it prints money. I'm just
Well,
saying,
100%.
I feel we're jumping the gun a little bit though on Toronto here.
Well,
We
Toronto is the mecca of hockey. Toronto
question.
to hockey is what the Yankees are to baseball, right? Picture this, it's like the Yankees making it to the World Series, right?
The difference is the Yankees get there more recently than the Leafs do, right? Like,
Yeah, so this is going to be even making more money.
Oh no!
Because we haven't seen it.
If Toronto
Right.
makes the playoffs, makes the
No.
it is hard to say if we're jumping the gun here or not, but maybe we should be like the Boston Pizza commercials and just plan the parade. Which, by the way, we're not sponsored by Boston Pizza. But Boston Pizza, I'll take a free pepperoni slice. And I'm kidding. I'd much rather have Francesco's Pizza than Boston Pizza.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I'm looking
Down there on Cedar Point in Barrie, Ontario. That's the spot.
I'm looking at, what the Leafs could do here. If they can make it to the Cup Finals, the whole city is going to be electric, the whole nation. And man, you know what? This is a great comparison. McDavid and Matthews is like Messier and Ronaldo of hockey.
Messy.
Oh,
That's money all day. And man, I can't disagree
You're
with you
right.
there. It's kind of like LeBron James versus Steph Curry in the NBA. Right? It's these two, the best players in the world are going a mano. Right, and even when you watch this Vegas series, it's not like Vegas Edmonton. If Edmonton really has control of it now, no one on Vegas is comparable to McDavid on a pure talent level.
According to you, Aiko is.
I still believe one of the best two-way centers in the game. That's totally different. All you want.
Matthews is two-way center.
Matthews has 2 goals. Go away. But
We're comparing Matthews to McDavid here.
Yeah, but I mean, you're looking at two of the biggest names in the NHL. I will say, if you get an all-Canadian series, this will bring in a lot of money if it's McDavid versus Matthews, and the NHL is going to hype it like no tomorrow. You have the two best players in the world, the best Canadian player in the NHL, the best American player in the NHL, a Four Nations rematch.
Isn't this the showdown? The McDonald's showdown?
That's
And
what
this
I
is
was
the
thinking
McDonald's
too.
showdown too. Who gets? You know what? Stanley Cup winner finally gets the Big Mac. That's what it's going to be. So are we already feeling Edmonton's going to make it out in the West? Everyone here is feeling pretty confident that Edmonton
I'm not
can.
convinced yet.
I'm not sold
I'm
yet.
convinced.
I'm
I
also
would-
convinced.
I would love to see it. I was impressed with I think Stuart
Well,
Skinner
because you two are on the same page. There you go.
I was impressed that Stuart Skinner found another level. I give him a lot of respect and credit for that. I think Hellebuck needs to find another level. I think he will find another level. And when Hellebuck finds another level, he's a better going than Stuart Skinner. Wellington is playing incredible. I do think eventually the Wesley Dallas team will catch up to Wellington, and they have to. They want to make it to the finals. You look at guys like Matt Duchesne, Jamie Benn, Tyler Sagan, Dantonoff. They got a very, very, very strong team. Very underrated team.
They're missing their best defenseman too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Good defenseman and everything, right? So I'm not completely sold on Edmonton yet, but I would love to see it happen. Either way, look at this. Out of 8 teams, 3 of them are Canadians. So we got like a 35-40% chance. So that's very, very strong.
My big issue is with Dallas, and I gotta admit, I would absolutely love to see this. McDavid game-winning goal against US, Matthews game-winning goal against Edmonton.
Yeah.
And see, the winky face is because this is the Streakers Island podcast at night. What makes me worried about Dallas moving forward, Rantanen is leading you in goals, assists, points, plus minus out of forward, power play goals, game-winning goals. Like, he's basically your entire team. After Rantanen, Hintz has 10 points. Wyatt Johnston has 8. Then you're down to Sam Steele with 5 assists, no goals. Dandonoff, 1 goal. Garland, 1 goal. Sagan, 4 points. Duchesne, no goals, 4 assists. Jamie Benn, 3 points. Mason Marchment, 3 points. Like, it starts to get pretty after Rantanen. And for the defense, I'd argue after Thomas Harley, who was somehow a -6, which is crazy when you think about that at the level.
I thought that was the case.
But after Thomas Harley on defense, I mean, your next best defenseman is in theory Cody Ceci. I don't know.
Yeah, but then if you can get Miro Heiskanen back, you know, and who's to say you can stop? And who's to say you can stop Brandon? We keep saying about someone's going to stop him. They haven't stopped him yet, and he's been going strong every game.
Yeah, I honestly think though Edmonton's depth will have that ability, especially with what they did tonight. Or I guess technically last night, because it's 1:09 in the morning. But what they did was by splitting up McDavid and Draisaitl, you made it where a team doesn't know what line do I try to defend. So what you're doing is now you're so focused on defending those 2 lines. What did it do? It opened up the ice so much for all these other players in Edmonton, like Evander Kane and Adam Henrique and Connor Brown. I
think it'll be a good series. I think it'll be close.
I mean, Wayne.
So, a question then: Are you guys writing off Winnipeg? Because we're already talking Dallas.
Oh yeah.
And okay, so Wayne's written off Winnipeg.
We're done.
I really got to see what happens. I'm going to say tonight at this point because it's now 1:10 in the morning, getting closer to the sunrise. But for me, I got to wait and see what happens in the next one. Chazzy, how are you feeling right now? Do you feel Dallas has kind of got this locked up, or are you still giving Winnipeg at least one more game before you're kind of calling it?
Well, I almost feel like the way I felt like Washington, there's a glimmer of hope still that the Jets team can go, but Washington didn't show up. Hopefully the Jets can show up and get over that moment yesterday, which they did. They played 2 solid periods in game 3, right? So
yeah, they did.
I
would not count them out here. And again, it's going to come down to goaltending. But question for you guys back, and we can add on after we talk to the big Jets, but doesn't coach in Edmonton look like a genius shaking those lines up, even though you didn't play that, like, okay, you played mediocre in game 3, you almost won the game. Do you look at this, if Toronto loses game 5, Is there a shakeup of the lines in Toronto going to Game 6?
There has to be.
100%. Like, there's not even a doubt in my mind. And I think
So out of your top 6, if they separated Draisaitl and McDavid, who are you separating in your top 6?
Matthews, Marner.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm switching Matthews
Even
and
Nyes.
switching Marner and Nylander.
Would you guys even put Nyes on this side? Would you even put Nyes with Tavares and Nylander and
No.
bring up
No, I want to see Marner with Matthews to try to get, because if Matthews doesn't get going and you lose Game 5, then you got to try to get Matthews going, and Marner and Matthews is not really connected that well this series. But Francesco brings up a great point with Edmonton about falling short with the goaltending. And you look at what Joseph Woll did coming off now in that last game against the Panthers. I thought Joseph Woll played outstanding. And it was really disappointing to see him lose off that game. You want to see Domi up to the second line if they lose.
Whoa, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I will say, if you put Domi on that second line, Nylander gets to play for a guy who can skate.
Yeah,
they
had chemistry in the past.
So you're saying you would move Domi and then what, Tavares down to the third to play with McMahon and Holmberg? Or, riddle me this, you move Tavares up and put him on the wing.
I got a good line combination. How about this? What if you did Domi, Matthews, Marner, and you did Tavares, Willie, and Nyes? That's not a bad 6.
No, but I'm kind of intrigued by putting Domi on the second line. It might get him.
Yeah, might get him going.
Because Domi's had a quiet play
well together.
And he's been playing very physical, which is what we need against a team like Florida.
Big sneeze into the mic. Hopefully no one watching tonight is wearing headphones. Poor Lane. He has heard Dad sneeze in stereo.
I hate this air conditioning you got on here. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, Dan.
It's only May, Blow. What are you going to do in July?
The house is 20 degrees and he's complaining.
It's too cold.
That is not too cold.
Put a sweater on then.
Thank you, Lane.
See, hold on. It's those long sleeve golf shirts you should have.
That's right.
Oh man, but no, I'll be interested to see here. I think we got a couple more really exciting games. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to do a pregame show on Tuesday as we have a big thing coming up in Streakers Nation involving 4 wheels and a dream. That's all I'm going to say. 4 wheels and a dream.
So what we've been saying about the Streakers app is that it is... Oh.
Leave it at that, Dan. 4 wheels and a dream.
Okay.
But line 1, Matthews, Marner, Nyes. Line 2, Domi, Tavares, Nylander.
I like that.
The only thing I would do here, I would actually move Tavares to the wing so he doesn't have to be back checking as much, because there's been times I felt he's missed assignments just on a lack of speed. And then really let Nylander and Domi just fly. Do you see this partway through Game 5? If let's say things just aren't connecting, does Berube pull out the blender that he loved to use all regular season?
That's right.
I could see it.
I still won't be shocked to see Robertson in the lineup at some point this series either, which is going to make Dan very angry. Dan wants Ryan Reeves in the lineup to just not skate. We already have enough players who can't skate out there. So then I'm assuming then Pacioretty would move down to the third line, which I'm actually okay with Patches being on the third. I think that's more his role, as much as he's been playing really well. Mm-hmm. I think Patches is more of a third line guy.
Mm-hmm.
But those are some interesting points. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see too, if we do get what we projected, which it was Toronto making. We said from the beginning the Leafs had to make it to the minimum conference finals.
Yeah.
And realistically, I think for Toronto, if they end up losing out to Carolina, I don't know how many people are going to be okay with that.
Yeah, totally.
We have a bold. Actually, not really a bold.
Loving his Leafs.
Yeah, there we go.
You know what, man? I do trust you. We've known Francesco for a very long time. Dan, you went to high school with him, I believe.
Yes, I did. Back in grade 9. Grade 9. Wow. Played some ball hockey together back in the day. Back when I was skinny, bro. That's how long ago this was.
Francesco, I wish I had the same patience you do, the same trust that you do.
You know what, though? I also feel like the Leafs are going to win Game 5. I really do. I think you lost both
Really?
games in Florida. Yeah, you lost.
Well, let's
both
talk
games in
about that.
Florida.
What are our predictions for Game 5 for Toronto and Florida?
Well, since we're talking about it now, I'd say Toronto wins. I really wanted to read that comment. We do want to know why do you have the patience, and maybe you can teach.
Tell me why.
Sure.
Ain't nothing but a heartache.
Zane Leaf fan energy, because Leaf fans do not have patience. It's a good
I
thing
do
Leaf
have
fans are not. Lane, it's a good thing you're not a doctor,
That's
because you
true.
didn't have patience, you wouldn't do very well.
Be
That's
bankrupt.
But no, I feel like the Leafs, you lost game 3 and 4 in Florida. I don't think there's any panic in that room. Listening to the post-game interviews, I didn't hear any panic from the players. I didn't hear panic from Berube. William
You won't
Nylander.
hear panic. There's no
But
way. Not
William
under
Nylander, but
Berube's
like
leadership.
you could, when the Leafs were down, and when this happened to the Leafs, even last year, you could see they were visibly frustrated. Even when it was a tied series, they were like, "What the? I thought this was going to be easy. I'm Austin Mother Truckin' Matthews." Where like I think now they more understand, like, okay, this isn't easy. To win the Stanley Cup is very difficult, right? And I think the Leafs have a better understanding of that now than they have in other years past.
And I think that starts with Berube. That sort of
100%.
culture, that image he brought in all year. Like I think that is the biggest difference in what you just said. The demeanor of the team going into this. I don't know. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. It was more a little flashy last year of like more talk than anything. And
Here
this
we
is
go.
all
Here's our
like
why.
all business.
So the Leafs are
No,
6-0 at home in the playoffs. This is true.
Nope.
And
They lost one. They lost to
Wait,
Ottawa.
they
at
didn't
home.
lose one.
they
Yeah,
didn't.
they did.
That,
Yeah, they did.
that was in Ottawa. That was in
no,
Ottawa.
they lost it. They lost at home, didn't they?
No, they did. They were up 3-0, lost game 4. And then actually, no, then they lost game 5.
Yeah.
So they've only lost 1 in the playoffs. We just pretend game 5 didn't happen.
That's fine.
The Leafs have won 87% of their home games during the season. This
All
is very
during
true. The
history.
second best in the league. Most wins at home during the regular season. I mean, this is true. The Leafs have been phenomenal at home. Joseph Wall, statistically as well, he's been much better at home than he's been on the road this year.
And he was so good that last game.
And what excites me is I think playoff Joseph Wall just entered the building. Everyone goes on about playoff Bobrovsky, which you have to. I mean, Bobrovsky is a legend. But Joseph Wall, the other years in the playoffs when the Leafs lost, he certainly was not the reason. And the Leafs, and we talk about Edmonton's depth. I look at Toronto's depth. We're getting offense from guys more than just the core 4.
Yes, we are.
I mean, I'd still like to see a little more from guys like Domi, which is why actually I don't hate the idea of moving him up to the second line to put him with some players with a bit more skill, and same with McMahon. But I mean, we're seeing the Leafs fourth line creating a lot of chances.
Yep.
We're seeing the Leafs defense get. They were the lowest scoring defense in the league coming in the playoffs. Now they're the second best.
Yeah.
I believe only behind Edmonton.
Yeah.
Just because Evan Bouchard's just
Boost bomb.
And this is another true point too, right? Like 52 wins in his first season. That's something that's not easy to do.
Oh, it's unheard of.
So, because funny enough, Sheldon Keefe had more points his first season as a rookie, as a head coach for the Leafs, but he did it in more overtime losses. We were very good at getting to overtime that year. We just couldn't win.
Correct, yeah.
Which is the
We
whole
couldn't even
point
finish
again
back
about the
then.
whole 3-point system. But Chazzy, how do you like to see a Leaf fan not panicked for a change?
I guess it's thought at this time of year. Usually poking some sort of hole in something.
I mean, truthfully, we usually are poking holes at something at this point, but I think to the point of the coaching and the big defense, and I think people, and you know, there are fans like Lane and Lane. I understand why you're not this confident. The Leafs last playoff runs have not proven anything, right?
He broke his heart last year, being up on 3-1 or 4.
I'm like I'm like the villain origin story. Like at this point with them. It's like, oh, they're leasing me. Let's 8 years. I must get the precious stones. That's how I feel for the last 8 years. I feel like they've broken me, and I feel like even when I start to feel it again, then the game 3s and game 4 happen. I go, yep, that's on me. I said it. I'm like, oh, I started to believe. I'm starting to be happy again. I'm actually enjoying the games. And then game 3 and 4, and I'm like, yep, never mind. Go back.
But they didn't get blown out.
Well, Lane, your
Jericho.
mind will be changed.
Yeah.
I hope so.
100.
Change my mind.
100, bro.
Erase my
100.
Thanos origin story where I'm the next Marvel villain one day, hiding in a dark cave, being like, "Oh, what's the matter?"
Because the difference is that everyone's forgetting about, yeah, they lost the games. Okay. As Willie has said, there's only 3 games anyway. This page is only 2. Okay. They didn't get blown out. The games were close. The games were entertaining. The games were competitive. And I would arguably say, we saw the end of game 4, Domi throwing that hit. It was more Florida hitting the panic button. With Matthew Tkachuk running his mouth like that, that's exactly what they want. Yeah, 2015. Yeah, that's 10 years ago now.
That makes
That's
me feel old.
I
Hagelin,
know.
Benino, Kessel team. I think it was, right?
Oh, is that Kessel? Yeah.
Phil
Kessel.
the Thrill.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yep,
2
Phil the
Stanley
Thrill.
Cup champion.
Remember that third line,
What a
Hagelin, Benino,
champion.
Kessel. The HBK line.
Big lead with Crosby and Malkin, Letang. You had 2 stellar
Murray?
goaltendings in Matt Murray and Marhandrick.
Where did Phil the Thrill hang them up? Was it in Phoenix?
Vegas.
Vegas?
Yeah, technically, 'cause
Vegas.
he got put on.
I do not remember all 4 lines. I will admit that. My memory, you know what? I've had a lot of concussions. I've been hitting the noggin too many times.
I know one player who was on that team, and he's on the Leafs right now, and his name's Matt Murray.
Mhm.
I
I
he
know
was
a
on
player
that-
who was on the team, Sidney Crosby. I believe he was in the lineup.
Jacob is the
He
only
might have
person
been.
I know that got a concussion playing badminton in high school. That's legendary.
Okay. You got a concussion eating a Big Mac at McDonald's.
In college, that's very true. I did.
I could be wrong. I think Jerome McGinley might have been on that team too.
I think
but
he was actually.
Oh, that team was legendary. I remember Max Talbot on the 4th line, but I think that was for team against Detroit in like 08, 09. I don't think that was the 15 team. I think same with Colby Armstrong. I think that was more.
Colby Armstrong.
That's why like the commercial. Wow.
And I don't even know how
remember.
Dan Balsman, man. That guy
Oh,
was
wait a minute.
such a-
Ryan Reeves.
That's right.
Ryan Reeves was on the 4th line. Revo.
I just want to say, how did
whenever
Dan-
you
Look
see-
it up. I guarantee he
Whenever
was.
you say Revo like that, do any of you guys ever watch Kitchen Nightmares?
No.
Well, anyways, there's this one episode where the owner's named Nino, and there's one of his brothers like he goes to every single table and goes, "Hello, my name's Nino."
Oh, I forgot about that.
So whenever Dan goes Revo, I think of Nino.
Do you guys remember Dan?
Niederreiter.
But it seems like we've all, I don't know if Chazzy feels this way or not, but a lot of us are feeling, and I don't think Lane is either. So 2 out of 4 of us are feeling a Toronto Edmonton Cup final.
I think it's quite possible.
I don't know about the east side, but I know Edmonton will be there.
Anything is possible when Timothy.
So
goes
Chazzy,
to
you were
school.
saying you don't care who Edmonton faces next round.
I know. I think yeah.
Wow.
But see, I feel that too about the Atlantic. I think whoever comes out of the Atlantic, as much as I think Carolina is a team with depth, I don't think they have quite enough star power. If you can get more shots on net on Frederik Andersen, you should be fine. I feel so, and I'm confident still that the Leafs can beat Florida. So I'm confident the Leafs can make it to the Cup Finals this year. I am changing my conference finals or bust to Cup Finals or bust for Toronto.
What?
Yes.
Whoa.
If you make it to the conference finals and lose to Carolina, that's a success.
Oh,
No,
you
it's
said
not.
Conference finals are bust.
What happens if Washington wins 3 games in a row?
Oh,
They're
Well,
not
my thing is, the deeper you guys go, the more money you're gonna have to pay for these guys. So who are you gonna keep?
So
at
last
the
night
end?
plus
You're gonna have to
the
bust it
knives,
up
right?
anyway.
Now, mind you, we can get into that a lot more into our free agent frenzy preview show. But
Whoa.
The Leafs are the only team that have all 4 lines stacked. No other team has it in the season. Everyone's team is working their 2 lines and the rest are doing nothing. All 4 lines performing, that's what wins games. Every other team doesn't have the 4 line stack. And man, you know what? Funny enough,
Yeah.
we've talked about that in Toronto. Craig Berube still runs 4 lines, and a lot of other coaches don't. Carolina does as well. That's the only point I'll make there to Carolina.
Mhm.
But I think Toronto has more depth than Carolina.
Because even when Toronto's 4th line is not scoring, they're not defensive liability, they're not taking stupid penalties, they have speed, they're good at face-offs, both offense and defensively, good forechecking, and they're getting a lot of great chances on net.
Yeah, so like I would say half of us feel Toronto is definitely going to get to the conference finals. Dan's fine if they lose to Carolina or Washington. I'm not. Everyone said, oh, if they can just get through the Atlantic, then you have to get through the Atlantic. If you don't get through, if you get through the Atlantic and then lose to the weaker division, well, what does that tell you? I really feel this group was built to win according to the Shanna plan that we always hear about. And if you're going to pay Tavares and Nyes their big boy paychecks, they need to bring home a Stanley Cup appearance. Mm-hmm. Like, truthfully, I think if they get either Edmonton or Dallas, because that's who I think is going to, I hate saying it. I hope I'm wrong. I think Dallas is going to beat Winnipeg at this point. I really hope I'm wrong. And I think I'll have a much clearer picture after game 4.
We will know today for sure.
I feel with Toronto getting to if you get to Carolina with apparently a 4th line at a -3, I am very glad you did not grade my report cards when I was in school. I kind of want Lane to do my report cards. I feel like Lane, as long as I gave you an apple, you'd give me a good grade.
Yeah, for sure.
See?
Well, maybe a bag of salt and vinegar chips, but not an apple.
Salt and vinegar chips, man. I see.
Lay's, and we're not sponsored by Lay's, but if you ever did want to sponsor, we'll gladly take it. Just reach out to Jacob Moore.
But when we talk about Carolina's depth, it's interesting. In the pregame show, we were talking about how we felt Carolina's depth was pretty good. However, when we do look, I mean, the 4th line's not great.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with Francisco there. Yeah.
That's true. I mean, you got to get through the best teams.
100%. I agree.
Like, I will say, if we do get a Toronto-Carolina final, and I'm still saying that's a big F for an Eastern final, Toronto, I think, would have the advantage at depth at forward. Because we look here, and Taylor Hall's not what he's used to be. Oh, my gosh, Jack Roslovic is their 2nd-line center.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Carolina's not as deep as you're saying. That's what I was saying earlier.
Well, then what is Washington doing?
I don't know, but Washington has a better forward group.
I don't care. They think
Carolina's got better defense, and Carolina's got a better coach, and somehow Carolina's got better goaltending. But Washington's got the better forward group by far.
Yeah, honestly, now that
look at these 4 lines. Holy cow.
I think the problem is, though, your star players in this series just have not been star players for Washington.
Give it time. Now they wake up.
Pierre-Luc Dubois hasn't done anything all playoffs. Tom Wilson's more worried about making emoji faces than scoring goals.
Jacob Slavin, man. That guy is so underrated. He does not get the amount of respect that he deserves. He can play against any line, any player. He can shut you down. He makes your whole night a living nightmare, and everyone will never. He does not get the amount of credit he deserves.
He's a living nightmare.
That's very.
You know your kids are at night. Anyways, when we let's kind of look at the Leafs lines when we're talking depth. I don't know why they keep putting this at the 3rd line when this is obviously the 4th.
I just think it's the way he plays it. I don't know why they do that, but he clearly just plays it the other way around. Yeah,
he does. But you look at you got to say Toronto's got a lot of depth in forward. Your worst forward is probably Holmberg, and on Carolina, he might be your 2nd-line center.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing of Carolina that gets them is all 4 of their lines play hockey the right way. And that's how they do as well as they do. I made a really good comparison to Mad Mama on the Streakers app. And I pointed out the Carolina Hurricanes are like the New York Islanders from a few years ago. They're not that
Okay.
They're not the deepest roster, but they work hard.
I can see that.
However, the New York Islanders always fell short when they played the superior, deeper, better Tampa Bay Lightning.
Like, yeah.
And you look at Toronto's lineup or Florida's, and they're just deeper. The Atlantic is the division that should be going to the Cup final. And I think for either Florida or Toronto, they would be disappointed being taken down by Carolina. I think Washington's devastated being down 3-1.
Oh, yeah. They got to be really upset. Well, that's pretty sad because look at how good of a season they've had. And if you lose in a 7-game series, that's one thing. But losing in like 5 would be devastating, I think.
I don't think even losing. I think they are built to Washington this year was expected to go all the way, or at least to the conference finals. And I do agree with this. All 4 lines need to improve to win a Stanley Cup. I can see why you're excited about this year. I mean, Matthews needs to be better. I do agree with that as well. I mean,
There's something going on with him for sure.
well, he's got to figure it out. I don't care what's going on. If he needs to take some Ozempic, because apparently we're supposed to ask your doctor if that's right for you. Every time I watch a damn hockey game, I just see commercials for Ozempic. I don't know what Austin Matthews needs.
Maybe he's got to put hot sauce on his tacos.
Maybe he needs to be sponsored by Ozempic, which, by the way, we are not sponsored by Ozempic, but Ozempic.
So the
last
time you guys made the conference finals was 2002. Who did you face?
New Jersey?
Carolina.
Oh, no.
4 games went to overtime. You lost in 6. So maybe there's some history.
I
there.
remember that series very, very, very well.
I swear to God, it was
very, very, very young.
I don't remember that. I was only 7 at the
Princess
time.
was also playing in Chazzy's random trivia game at 1:33 in the morning. And
weirdly enough, I don't remember that at all.
That was one of the closest series. Cam Ward versus Curtis Joseph was one of the.
It wasn't Cam Ward. He wasn't in the league of that.
Yes, he was. Cam Ward took over that playoff run for Archer's Urbe.
Yeah, Urbe, yeah.
No. Urbe got pulled early in the playoffs because he was old and was struggling. And Cam Ward came in saying, hold my beer that I'm barely legally old enough to drink. And watch me riot.
He must have been a rookie at that point.
And he played phenomenal. I remember that series because that was one of the best goaltending duos we had seen in the playoffs. Because Curtis Joseph, who I still think should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm calling that right now. I don't care he doesn't have a Stanley Cup.
Well, I know bias that the Cujo signed a jersey behind you, but okay.
Okay, you're biased saying Washington's going to come back because you want Alexander Ovechkin to tuck you in before you go to bed.
No, but Jacob, you're right. That series, they had 4 2-1 games, 1-1-0 game, and then you had a 3-0 game.
That was the series we didn't have Matt Sundin playing in the lineup. So if we have all our star players in this lineup, and why are we even comparing this? It's like 20 years ago.
Well, I'm just saying that's the last time you were in the conference finals. I'm just saying.
And you know what? Do you want to know a really depressing Leaf stat? They have not won a Stanley Cup since it got moved to the 4-round format. They have never won. They have never won a 3rd round in franchise history.
That's the modern era they call it.
The modern era. But this could be the year to do it.
Yeah. They've never won when there's more than 6 teams in the league.
You guys are already walking through Florida. Now you're walking through Carolina right to the finals.
I think it's possible. I'm not saying it's for sure. And yeah, I do believe it was Detroit that won it that year.
100%. That was kind of
didn't Cujo go to Detroit because Cujo went to Detroit next because Toronto decided to keep Pat Quinn over Cujo, which I'm sorry, and I've called this because I know both Dan and Chazzy disagreed with me. The Leafs have not had a franchise goalie since Curtis Joseph left the team. And ever since then, to win a Stanley Cup, you need a goalie to steal you a game. It's no doubt in my mind. I look at Florida, who Bobrovsky should have won the Conn Smythe last year in the first place. Bobrovsky stole multiple games and multiple series. You look when the Lightning won their Stanley Cups. Vasilevsky was playing outstanding, right? And you feel you feel that.
Yeah, that's what I see. Francesco Ed Belfour. I'm telling you,
That's what Chazzy and I
He
were
was
saying.
another
when
level.
We were
wasn't
talking
a
about this a couple
franchise
episodes
goalie
ago.
at that point in his career. He was good.
What?
He was good. He was not. You guys don't
10 shutouts, blow.
I don't care. That Toronto
He had a
defense
career in
was
Chicago
stacked.
before he came.
In
That Toronto
Dallas,
defense was absolutely stacked back then. Thomas Cowderley was on your second pairing.
McCabe and Leach is your first.
Like the difference is to win in the playoffs. Even everyone goes on. Whoa, the Chicago Blackhawks did it with Corey Crawford. Corey Crawford stole a couple games in that playoff run.
Yeah.
Right. And you even look when the Oilers went to the Cup final. Stuart Skinner actually played well. And I'm not saying that he's a franchise goalie, because he's not. But if you compare Ed Belfour to Cujo, okay, Ed Belfour a few years before, sure. Ed Belfour, when he came to Toronto, was good. Not a franchise goalie. He was good. Sure, he was awesome in Dallas, but I'm pretty sure Dallas was before Toronto.
It was, yeah. Because that was 99. That was when Brett Hall's foot was not in the crease.
Well, they claim they changed the rule. Oh my gosh, I just saw a headshot of Ed Belfour. And I need to put this on the screen, because this
Eddie the Eagle.
This is terrifying. Okay, so this article is from 2020. I just really want to show this, because this is very funny.
This will give you a nightmare at night.
This is gonna be.
Oh my god!
It does look like him too.
Oh my gosh, he looks like the high school gym teacher you don't want to see. But anyways, that's enough of looking at Ed Belfour and not being able to sleep tonight.
At night.
Hall of Famer for sure.
I'm not denying any of those things of Ed Belfour. But when he got to Toronto, he was okay. Like, he put up good numbers in Toronto. Yes, Dan, I do see the year he had 10 shutouts. I also see 05-06 where he couldn't even make 90% of his saves and didn't have a single shutout.
Okay, but that was a year after Verlaco. We had all those stack players, and we lost him to a salary cap. We had Jason Allison as our second line center. That year was pathetic. That's the year we missed the playoffs by 1 point or whatever. Like,
the problem is Ed Belfour as a Leaf never had a 500 winning percentage as a goalie in the playoffs. His numbers were decent, don't get me wrong. Like, he had a .915 save percentage and no shutouts, no .203, and a .929 save percentage. And please don't mention Tuukka.
No, this is a soft point.
That just makes me so sad.
Andrew Raycroft, baby.
That's true, though.
What a bad trade.
Oh my!
You'd probably be hoisting a cup by now. I think the conversation.
Oh, probably. But this isn't. Ed Belfour was a good goalie. He just wasn't a franchise goalie when he got to Toronto. I'm still going to bring that point home.
I still remember JR scored the goal in overtime in that second round to boot Toronto out. That was a sweet goal.
When you look at Cujo's runs in Toronto, okay? First year in Toronto, in 98, 99, the Leafs were terrible. He's go, you know what? I'm just going to take you to the conference finals. I'll just do that. Then the next year, get booted out in the second round, but he has a .932 save percentage, a 2.6 goals against average, and a shutout. Then 2000, 2001. Hey, in 11 games, I'm going to get you 3 shutouts. Go 7-4 with a .927 save percentage. Then the year you go to the conference finals, again, a 2.30 goals against average, a .914 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. You look at Curtis Joseph, he took every team except Arizona he played on to the Stanley Cup playoffs. He was a goalie that would come in and make a huge difference.
Arizona made the playoffs with Cujo.
Not according to NHL.com, which I honestly thought they did, but maybe
I thought they did too.
But all I'm getting at is I compare these numbers to Ed Belfour, which Ed Belfour's numbers were good. They were not Cujo level good. People go on, he wasn't that good in Detroit. Okay, I'll just put up a 139 goals against average and a .939 save percentage. Oh yeah, Cujo was the reason why you didn't make it far. Oh, 100%. You know what? My goalie needs to make a shutout every game? Like, no, you're comparing. And again, I look back at Ed Belfour's stats. Sure, there were some years he was phenomenal in the playoffs. Like, I take it back to the 89-90 season in Chicago. Or you go to the 94-95 in Chicago where he had a .923 save percentage. Or the 99-2000 Dallas where he took them all the way to the cup, a .931 save percentage, 4 shutouts, and a 1.87 goals against average.
Wow.
He did not put up those same numbers in Toronto.
No.
He was good in Toronto. This is what I mean between good versus franchise. His best playoff run in Toronto was 03-04 when he had a .929 save percentage, 3 shutouts, and a 2.9 goals against average, which is
good.
very, very good. But then you got rid of him. You're like, nah, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah. Went to Florida after that.
That's what I just mean with Belfour. The Leafs have not had a franchise goalie that's young enough to take them on deep runs. And maybe you have it this year. I don't know. Maybe Stolarz between Stolarz and Wool, which you are seeing teams are winning cups more without the franchise goalie, just have good goaltending now. And that's interesting. Would Matthews be willing to be traded, though? You got to remember, he has that no move. Now, it might be a partial no move. I'm not a hundo P on that. I'd have to look it up on one of my 18,684 screens and tabs that I have open. Luckily, I did close the Ed Belfour image very quickly because I don't want to like doze off at my computer waiting something to export and then wake up to Ed Belfour on like a 32-inch 4K monitor. That is not something I want to see ever again. But yeah, I actually could see Matthews. The Leafs could try to move him because I think Brad Treliving is the guy that will make moves if it's not working.
But Arizona's not a team anymore. Matthews would only play in Arizona.
He can go to Utah.
Yeah, it's close enough. It's only 5 hours
I actually
away.
don't think they can. I'm pretty sure they can't even trade him because he's got the no trade clause and it expires in 2027, 2028. So
now, Francisco, I do agree with you here. Unfortunately, if I put the comment on your screen due to the BS word, again, we don't have a problem with it. But then YouTube gets into this whole screwy thing. I do agree with you. Money talks. If there is a way you can get Matthews to leave on some sort of sign-in trade move where he gets a big extension somewhere else, because Austin Matthews will always be one of the highest paid players in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, his shooting ability alone gets him that big money.
I think he's worth even more money now that he's more of a two-way player.
Oh, Dan, okay, come on. Yesterday you were going on, you need to strip the C off him. Now you're saying he's worth, what, $14 million? You think he's Mikko Rantanen level?
No,
I know he just got 12, but people are saying he could have got 14 on the open market.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
I think that is part of the issue. I think guys like Matthews and Marner are probably being paid what they should be paid right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Oh my gosh.
Bam, Lane. So let's have a look at Matthews' contract.
yeah, here is he right here. He's in his year 1 of 4 at $13.25 million. It expires in 2028 at age 30.
Oh, you only have a 4-year deal?
I
Yeah,
didn't
it was
know
a
that.
short
That's
one.
surprising.
So this is the year we're on right now, the 2024, 2025. Then this would be next season, 2020, 25, 26. Then I don't know why this is in red here, but
Because there's an option.
the lockout.
Oh, and there could be a lockout.
And yeah,
Please
and then
don't
there's
lock
the
out.
final year, 2027.
Oh, God.
So
Lockout, what, after 26?
Oh,
there could be, yeah. Or that year, yes. So yeah, they
Now,
basically
Marner's the only one here, Francisco, and you mentioned about the deals. Marner's contract is actually up at the end of this year, which is why I'm saying we could see some major changes coming to Toronto if they don't get it done. And I don't know if the Leafs Oregon group will be happy if they lose to Carolina in the Cup Finals.
How many more years do you have Nyes for?
Nyes, this is his last year
RFA.
as well on a rookie contract.
Oh,
So
the
let's be
rookie
honest,
contract.
Nyes. Now, the only thing that will help Toronto is Nyes is a restricted free agent coming up. However, you look at St. Louis and they took a gamble on overpaying on, quote unquote, overpaying on 2 restricted free agents who worked out really well for them.
Well, I was going to say, are you going to see some offer sheets coming on Matty Knives? I think.
Tell you one
No.
thing: if I'm a GM, I am definitely willing to put an offer sheet on Matthew Nyes. He is a game breaker.
Yes,
That's not going to happen. That's not.
Dan just got a text saying,
Here's the
"Dear
thing that-
diary."
You'd move Tavares, no, instead?
Oh yes.
Yeah, but then who plays center?
I don't
Who
care.
plays center?
But Tavares
I
has
don't
to
care.
take a hometown
David
discount.
Kempf can be the second line center if that means I keep Matty Nyes. I don't care.
No.
Scott Lawton.
Latin.
Move
Oh,
me
no,
there.
He's going to have to
Please,
take a
Center.
$5-6 million cut. No,
Oh, Tavares, yeah, because what's he making now? Around 11?
11, yeah.
he's making 11.
Yep.
Yep.
Last
Don't
year,
remind me.
$77 million contract.
I don't know. I think Marner will be off in Chicago.
I'm not convinced.
The only
Marner's
thing is with
staying.
Marner, the thing is though, I think Marner does want to stay in Toronto. I just don't know if Toronto will want to keep Marner.
Do you
What?
think like Marner's a little shaken up after being actually just no trade for Waitman?
No. You have to
No.
at least have the conversation when you can bring in a guy like Mikko Rand. And funny enough, the only other offer Carolina wanted was Matty Nyes, and Toronto said no.
Well, yeah,
That's right.
obviously.
Here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize about all these trade things. First of all, the player has to even accept it. Like, just because a team can offer it, he still has to accept it. And then second of all, they still have 5 days to match it. So it's like there's so much. It's so hard to actually get these so-called these trade things going. Yeah, these restricted trade these offer sheets in. Like, they're so much harder than people say. Like, oh, they'll just offer sheet them. Like, the actual percentage of it happening is so like low. A lot of people just don't really think about the percentages and all that stuff.
And when you bring up the 102-point season thing with Mitch Marner, I'm not denying Mitch Marner is a phenomenal player. But if it's not working, it's not working. I don't know if the core four works. And if they don't get to the Cup finals again, can you really spend this much of your cap on Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander? And we'll say, okay, we're going to let Tavares walk. Okay, we're going to pay Nyes $8 million. So now instead, yes, Dan, if you bump up Marner to 12, which I think is what he's worth, and you give Nyes 8, even with
There's
Tavares
20.
walking, you're kind of right back to where you are.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like
So
20
if you give
million
Marner, what'd you say, 12? What is that over a 6 to
I'll
8
pull it
year
up.
deal?
Probably only a 4 with the cap, the way it's going to go up the next couple of years. Marner's not going to want that long term. He's going to want his money.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I'm pulling it up right here.
And the salary cap is going up $5 million. That is a great point.
Yes.
I think, but remember too, if you lose Tavares, keep Nyes and Marner, well, you still got to replace. You got to get a second line center. Are you getting a good enough second line center at $5 million?
Gotta get creative. Whoever was signing a washed up free agent somewhere or drafting a good young player, like getting someone off an injury contract.
Nelson.
Yeah, Brock Nelson would be a great second line center. I would like Ryan O'Reilly from Nashville. That's who I'm getting.
No, Ryan O'Reilly. Stop it. Ryan O'Reilly's not coming back to Toronto. The only way he's coming back to Toronto is if he's here on a vacation to come watch a football game.
I want him.
I don't care.
Hmm.
Man, I don't know how Chazzy puts up with us.
So you got Tavares coming. So you got 21 million coming up the books for sure. But I think
Matthew Nyes takes under $1 million.
If you keep Marner's getting a raise from 10.9.
Yes, for sure.
He got his first 100-point year of his career. He's having a good playoffs.
Yeah.
Now you can move David Camp for some. You could probably get rid of David Camp pretty easily to get rid of $2 million.
But Francesco, thank you very much for joining the conversation, good sir. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Sleep.
Yeah. Have a great night and go Leafs go.
I hope
join us
Ed
on the
Bell-
Streakers app. Challenge us on the Streakers app, and see who will take the points.
I do want to say I really hope the Ed Belfour image I showed you doesn't keep you up tonight. But have a good sleep, man. Thanks very much for joining the conversation. Appreciate the comments as always.
Yeah, it's 100%.
And you know what? Our other viewers.
Why are we looking at diapers?
It's just an ad on the screen.
I know.
So it looks like your defensive core is signed for another couple of years.
Yeah, except for Hockenpah, but I don't think you really care about that.
Hockenpah.
Yeah, Hockenpah.
So
This is like
have a good night, good sir.
You too. Thank you.
Night.
This is a preview of our free agent show, I think, but
no, it is just interesting to see. I still I don't know. I think time will
Wait
tell.
for
I love
Tristan.
how our post-game reaction show turned into a Toronto Maple Leaf 5-year down the road show. That's okay. That's what you know. What, boys? That's what I love about these live shows. You know what? We get part of Streakers Nation coming in here, joining the conversation. Dan's complaining that his nipples are cold, so he wants to go get a sweater. It's all good. You know, if he just pours coffee over himself again, he'll feel nice and warm.
He's convinced of the long sleeve golf shirt now.
I'm not
I like
convinced.
throwing off my muscles, bro.
But okay, after the games tonight, I do want to say to you boys, if a team's going to come back from 3-1, who's got a better shot of doing it? Carolina or Vegas? I'm going to start Vegas. I think Vegas has a much better chance of coming back 3-1 than Washington. Because at least Vegas has played well at times in these playoffs. I don't think Washington's played a complete game in the second round yet.
No, I agree. It's
So
100%
Lane's on my side because he's smart. Dan, are you smart, or are you going to stick with you want Ovechkin to tuck you in at night?
I want Ovi to
Tuck
sing
you
me
in
like
at night. You won't find nobody else
Else
like me.
me.
I'm sticking with Ovi at night. You know, he's not going to go down with one Stanley Cup in his career. He's going to keep fighting. We're going to win the next game in Washington, and then it'll be a 3-2 series, and who knows what will happen. You know, maybe Carolina will end up closing like Toronto. Who knows?
Okay, so Chazzy, right now you could make this the tiebreaker, or you can be smart.
Join us.
No, I don't. Yeah, I gave Washington their chance tonight. I gotta say, not that it's gonna happen, but Vegas has the better chance to come back.
The
But it
only
won't
thing
happen.
I would say to Dan's point, I think Vegas has a harder team to beat.
Yes.
True.
I think Edmonton is a better team than Carolina.
Yeah.
And we all know Frederik Andersen, he's playing great now, and he could play like hot garbage tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Vegas did say when they won the cup, they did say getting through to the cup was to beat Edmonton that year. So
Yeah, for sure.
So do you guys pull Aiden Hill for game 5 and put in Samsonov?
No.
Oh yeah. Oh
I do.
yeah.
You got to make
Yeah.
a change. You got to make a change.
Something. Aiden Hill's not been that great. Like I'm
I
not
didn't
a
think
big
he was
believer
that
in
good
Aiden
tonight
Hill.
either. He was too focused on trying to beat people up than trying to make a save. And I get he was frustrated, but I don't know. I just didn't. I think you got to try something. And it's easier to change. You got to do something. And Samsonov, okay, he was hit and miss in Toronto in the playoffs, but he had some great games. It's not like Aiden Hill. It's not like it's Bobrovsky who's struggling in there. You leave him in. Or same with Hellebuck because, well, he's a Vezina goalie. Aiden Hill's a mediocre goalie. Samsonov is a mediocre.
Aiden Hill made Team Canada.
And then didn't play a game.
I know, but he's
He also
the best in
made
the
Team
country,
Canada because let's
supposedly.
be honest, Canada's weak in net. Like in the World Hockey Championship, one of our goalies is an AHL netminder.
Yeah,
Like we're weak in net as a country, which is kind of weird.
yeah,
especially in Marc-Andre
unusual for
Fleury's
Canada,
time.
for sure.
Marc-Andre Fleury. But yeah, I'm seriously considering going to Samsonov.
Nah.
Well, I think on that bombshell, I think it's time we call it a night.
That's right. We
But
have
remember, boys and girls and whoever, to listen to and watch our pre-recorded edition of the Streakers Island podcast. That'll be coming up around that usual time, around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So make sure you're locked in for that one. Locked in, loaded, mother truckers. Make sure you're watching that. Always a good time. I'm Jake Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst who somehow moved to the bottom of the screen during this show. I have no idea how that happened. I'm just noticing that now. Above me is not just the Lord, who is a great dude, but also Chazzy, the CEO, who's also a great dude. To the side of me is Lane Dashco. Above Lane is the Lord, and also Dan Moore for your money.
Woo!
Man, poor Lane. He must hear Dan clunking around at 3 a.m. all the time. Above him. He's just like, keep that racket down. I'm trying to sleep. Although Lane doesn't
sleep well, so it's all good.
That's true.
But thank you very much for joining the Streakers Island podcast. Looking for more Streakers content? Make sure you download the app, follow all the social medias for Streakers Island podcast and Streakers Gaming. Remember, we have a big announcement coming up involving 4 Wheels and a Dream. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm not going to let Dan say anything more on it either. Because if he tries to, I can just boot him out of the room. See? Ready? Bye, Dan. Hi, Dan.
Bye-bye.
Now I'm back to the top of the screen. But thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Or good morning. Streaker Sound Podcast. At night.